What happened afterwards? Like after you got out of the hospital?
Um, those were like really, really dark times. It was, completely unbelievable. I mean, I can't believe I just lost my baby. Like, it just completely. So, luckily my husband was able to take, time off. He took 2 weeks off, and we somehow just try to survive in that time. And then I had a lot of doctor's appointments at the hospital to check my, sutures, and I was on like medication and stuff, a little bit of pain medication, and they gave me some like sleeping pills, which I never took. I never was able to like. I wish I kind of would have. Maybe I would have slept better, and like, but I didn't sleep well. I was very, super anxious. Didn't know what to do with myself. Like I couldn't. I just was just barely functioning. So, but after about 2 weeks is when I finally let like family come over, and I had my family from Texas. They came over, and we all kind of, got together. Then we had the baby cremated. So we had her, picked up her ashes and stuff, um, and then from there we started looking into like lawsuits and seeing like, there were so many things that went wrong. This can't be right. you know um this isn't okay. So after kind of like a little bit of back and forth with some lawyers, come to find out, our midwife only carried $100,000 in insurance, and that's nothing. That is absolutely nothing. It takes so much to do a medical malpractice that it's not worth the time or the effort to, try to have any type of justice. And it's not about a monetary justice, but at the same time, I understand where, I mean, you get doctors and people to speak about things that it's expensive. So basically, it was I had no justice with that. It just had to be, you know, I mean, I couldn't, my hands were tied. There's nothing I could do. The midwife didn't have insurance, and then there was nothing I could do. So um that was really hard because I felt like I wanted the world to know what happened. I wanted like, I wanted, but then at the same time, um I hold a lot of guilt for what happened because I chose to have home birth, and it was my fault because, I thought I was doing something that was relatively safe, and I didn't know that it was going to kill my daughter because I was only 5 minutes from the hospital, because they tell you, oh, if anything happens, we'll know before it happens, and we will be on our way to the hospital. Don't worry about it. You know? So, um, and being that I never knew anybody who had a home birth and their child died, I felt very alone. I felt very isolated. I felt very like ashamed. I felt like a failure. I mean, I just all those things. So it was really, really, really hard.
Did you ask your OB to refer you for counseling or anything?
So yeah, I have tried counseling, and it's not really for me, I guess. Like I've talked to a few people, but it's really hard to find somebody too, like that really, um, that you can really like work through a lot of deep seated stuff. Like I've talked to a few people, and they just weren't really for me, and I didn't really um like the experience or whatever. So I kind of went to a few sessions and stopped. But one thing, after the baby was born and after I got cleared to do normal activity, I did get into a small gym, and I joined like a challenge thing that really helped me and my husband like focus on something other than the loss of our child. We were able to like, okay, we started walking a lot and exercising, and just like we put all of our focus into um, staying busy, and just riding bikes and doing everything that we could possibly do to get our mentality up, and to keep us from going into a downward spiral basically. And to I mean, I could have easily drank myself to death, or you know luckily the hospitalists were not refilling my pain meds, because I could have easily just gotten like, give me more pain medication, and just it could have gone down a very dark hole. um but as soon as we started this like exercise challenge with a local gym, I actually ended up getting pregnant. And that it wasn't I don't even really remember. I think we were, had a lot of shots, and it was my husband's birthday, and we were just I don't even really remember that night, but I ended up pregnant. And I think that helped a lot too. Getting pregnant with my son so soon helped save saved my life in a lot of ways. So that definitely definitely helped. But that pregnancy was very, it was extremely scary and full of so much anxiety. But I had the best care under the best, OB. Dr. Garner was amazing. And he really he's a good doctor. So, and I had a C-section with my son, and it was actually like so much easier than and less painful than an episiotomy, and the pain that I felt um with having a home birth actually. So I recovered quicker. I mean, it wasn't easier, but I mean, it's a major surgery, but it wasn't terrible. I mean, it was okay.
Did you plan to have the C-section early on, or was it something that happened later?
So the OB gave me the decision. He's like, you certainly could have a vaginal birth if you want it. And I had thought about it for a little bit. But honestly, I I didn't want to have any more issues, because it could happen again. Shoulder dysplasia could happen again. I could tear again, and I was already in a lot of pain, and hadn't, had, although I was healed, it was still years. It took years to actually like for that pain to go away. Um, and so I felt, and I wanted him. I didn't want some random doctor to be there during the birth. Like Dr. Garner was fantastic. He was there through all of my appointments and stuff, and I really wanted him to deliver my baby. So I went ahead and did the scheduled C-section, and it was a really good decision, and it was healing. Actually, it was like a healing for me. So yeah, I did know it. I thought about it for a little while, and the idea of having another vaginal birth just freaked me out, and I didn't. Yeah, and he ended up being 8 pounds 8 ounces, so he was still a decent sized baby at 39 weeks. So I can't imagine if I allowed myself to go any longer than that, if he'd be bigger and what else would have happened. So C-section was good, and I healed fine, and I love my scars. Like I look at my scars, and I just, those scars are what gave my children life, and I have no problems with those scars at all. So they're beautiful to me.
How'd your husband do with the C-sections?
He was perfect. I mean, he was there, and he was good, and he was a trooper, and I think anything compared to what we went through as having a home birth, where he's the home birth. When they did the episiotomy, he held on to me, and he was right there. He saw this whole horrifying thing unfold, like, and he felt pretty helpless at that time. It's like trying to get our baby out, and it was just, it was chaos. And in the surgery room, in the OR, you know, it was it was peaceful. It was calm. It was good. You know, we had a healthy baby, and surgery went well, and it was healing, because at the end we had a healthy baby, and I healed well, and it wasn't really that big of a deal as some people might. And I know, you know, anything can happen. It's surgery, and people have had complications, and I'm lucky that I didn't have any complications, but it's not as big of a deal as some people make it out to be.
Who cried more at the C-section, you or your husband?
I think I cried right away. Like I cried, and he didn't. I don't know if he shed any tears. He may have. I think he was trying to hold himself together, probably for me. So, but there was a picture of us holding our son, and you could both see our eyes were just like welling up, just because it was very emotional. You know, very, very emotional time.
Since you've had babies afterwards, what do you think your major differences between having your home birth with midwives to your babies afterwards with hospital and medical staff?
Well, I don't know if maybe because of they knew of my horror story of a home birth, but I got really, really good care. Like my doctor, Dr. Garner, was amazing. I was referred to him from the neonatologist at the hospital when I had baby V. He said, you know, you're going to need to see somebody afterwards, and I highly suggest this doctor. And the practice that he's with is a practice that two of my friends went to, and actually a few other people, but two of my friends who delivered. I was actually looking into that practice before I decided on the home birth. And, you know, of course, I was kicking myself for not going with them anyway. But so I ended up going with Dr. Garner as a recommendation from the neonatologist, and he was really great, and everybody in the office was good. I mean, they were all like the nurses, everybody they were great. They took excellent care of me, and you know, and from what I know, the friends that I have that went to that office, they were really well taken care of too. It wasn't like some horror story where, you know, they didn't spend time with you. If I had questions, I could have sat there and asked them questions as long as I needed to. There was no like, okay, you know, I mean, I was taken care of if I had questions, and sometimes I didn't know what questions to ask, so he would, you know, explain things in depth, whether I asked him to or not, or whatever. I mean, it's a good provider. I think I want to say that maybe too, having him be a part of what I've gone through and being a part of the expose and the article and everything too, may have given him a, you know, a eye-opening practice too on how to, like, okay, there is something wrong in the communities for so many people to want to do home birth, or they have this misconception that OBs don't want to spend time or answer questions, or, you know, they're just a number. And I think, you know, that may have been like something that he's realized that, you know, maybe needs to be talked about in some of the boards or whatever meetings or something like that, you know, it shouldn't be like that. So, but my care was phenomenal. And so he did my C-section for my son and then my daughter, and, you know, he did an excellent job. And he even, while we were in the hospital, he even asked my husband, so, you know, I see you again for another another time. And we're like, I don't know, I think we're good. I think we're good. I think, you know, we've been back and forth about maybe having another one, but I think I'm good.